Surf's Up. We're here looking at my top 20, 21 that is, of players pre-Austin Major, and I'm going to be amending the list with the information and the data that we have now collected and assessed, and we will continue assessing to make a further top 20 list into the year.
Hey guys, the sponsor of this video is Skin Club, the case opening website. They've been getting extremely involved with the esports space lately, sponsoring teams like Vitality, the Mongols, Saw. They recently sponsored the HLTV Awards, which they were kind enough to fly me out to. So if you like my content on here or on my Twitch, check out their community portal on their website to consume more esports related and focused content by people like myself, Kerrigan, and James Banks. There are deeper dive articles, tier lists from people like myself, and articles about pro skin loadouts. I also publish some of my content monthly over there, so be sure to give them a look.
I'm going to, at first, list these players or highlight them with green and red off of my own eye test before I look at any stats. Obviously, I remember some stats of what happened at the major and some of the games and everything like that, but some of these players will probably move down a little bit, move up a little bit. I'm going to give them varying degrees of green and red to indicate just what I think of how, if they did well or not that well. Okay, I'm going to give ZywOo, first of all, kind of a light green here, the light green 3. You know, he obviously won the major MVP, did very well, but didn't really have the greatest major grand finals. You know what I noticed is that if ZywOo really humbled Mongols and just bodied everybody in that grand finals and the playoffs, I think the ZywOo fans would be a little bit louder right now. But in true reality, he was not the best player, or maybe even the second best player of that grand finals. And I would even maybe say their playoff run. Yeah, gets a light green because he obviously did his job as the star player, winning MVP, but felt like the MVP was slipping from him because other people were doing so well. But obviously that didn't happen. He still collected it. Now, Donk did everything he damn well could, okay? He's going to get a big green for that because he was fantastic for Spirit, even in their losing effort. Now, Rops, I think, gets a little bit better than ZywOo, not the light green, but this kind of slightly bolder green. And because he did more than he was supposed to in some of these moments, had a lot of great, he saved their asses a few times on the Vitality side, both on a macro sense and in a in like what he did in terms of fragging people out. Now we get to one of the first red moments for m0NESY. This guy blew it on day one. He absolutely blew it for them, okay? And, you know, he could have changed his sleeping habits, could have been still integrating into the Falcon system. They could have tried throwing too much of him in terms of the playbook, making him remember all these strats instead of just playing off of his own feeling. So this is going to be a pretty big red for m0NESY. We're going to do the light red 1 here. And on the other hand, Shiro, I think Shiro did his job. I think I'm going to put it in the light green. I think he did actually quite well. It might even be here. I think he probably did as well as he could have for the team. And NiKo, I'm sorry, this is a pretty hard red also. We're going to use the same red that m0NESY gets because what m0NESY failed to do on day one, NiKo absolutely failed in that MIBR series. And yeah, the gravitas matters. The gravity of the situation matters. Flamesy, good job, but also not that impressive. I'm going to be honest, I think Flamesy was probably the least impressive Vitality member of this event. I thought that Flamesy was going to really be a much bigger difference maker. Everyone had their moments, but I'm almost going to put him in the neutral category. He's pretty neutral for me. I don't think he's going to move a lot up or a lot down. Flamesy seemed nervous. I mean, yeah, even talking to him after, it didn't seem like he considered himself as like a truly elite player, which was a pretty astute reflection. But torzsi, oh man, I've been singing his praises for so long, but I don't think this was a good tournament for torzsi. I mean, he cried at the end, so he gained aura points, but in terms of actually performance, pure performance, I think torzsi lost a little bit here. So yeah, I'm going to put torzsi down just a tad. Spinks, on the other hand, I think he did pretty well. I think he was the best player overall for Maus, if memory serves me correctly. So he's going to get a light green here. Exertion, I think he also did very well. I think he did quite well. I think they too probably move. I think they're going to pass torzsi. Now, Frozen. I feel like Frozen was not talked about a lot during the major. Like the eye tests and what I remember is not that favorable for Frozen. And you know, I think he's one of the best riflers in the world, hands down. But I think the stats are going to show that he ended up being good, but I just didn't feel it in the same way as some of the other players. I think he was still good. Like, I don't think he, I almost put neutral. You know, I want to put between neutral and light red, but I think light red is unfair. So I'm going to put the neutral tone here. But talk about a guy who vaulted himself, okay? Mezii. Mezii stocks are on the rise, okay? When he got picked up from by Vitality, he was worse than Magisk. Today, he is objectively better. He is clearly better, okay? Mezii is going to be a top 20 player, and he's going to be the first British player to make it into the HLTV top 20 ever in any version of Counter-Strike. I look back, Mezii is going to be the first. He's going to be in the light green category for me. I think he did fairly well for them. Yeah, he's definitely moving up a little bit, or he should, or his, in terms of what he produced. Now, XANTARES, man, I'm going to say, I called it. I called it. Okay, I called it. I called it. I told you that they are not making it to the playoffs. I didn't even put them in my pick'ems to make it through. Aurora got figured out. Major got figured out. XANTARES figured out. Okay, I said it. I said it was going to happen. I said it in Hot Take Point Made. I doubled down on my pick'ems. They didn't make it to the playoffs. They weren't what we thought they were. We saw the best days of them at the Blast Bounty, and it's been a slow, gradual decline since. Maybe some little upticks here and there. I'm going to say XANTARES, he gets into the light red. I don't think as an individual he was the main culprit for their demise, but he definitely did not assist them in getting them to the playoffs. Now, Tessis, this is going to be red. It's going to be a pretty dark red. Okay, everybody on Falcons shares some blame. Twists, I'm not really sure. I'm actually not really sure. I think they were pretty bad. Everything about Liquid was quite bad. So I'm not sure about Twist's individual level here. I'm going to put a light red, but I'm pretty sure he did badly. Now, Senzu, this is the boldest green I could possibly put. In fact, it's so bold that actually I don't think that looks good. This is the boldest green. That was incredible from what he did. Senzu in the playoffs, Senzu in the group stage, fantastic. He was the star that Mongols have been billing him up to be for the entire time he's been on this roster, and he finally did it on big stages too. Thank God, okay? Because now it feels like Mongols are a true contender at tournaments that they play in, because Senzu is not just crumbling when he's on those big stages, okay? I love it. I love that we're getting that. I'm so happy that Senzu is finally just picking himself up, that he is who we wanted him to be. Xontix, I'm going to go light green here. It's almost neutral for me. It's like you survived by not getting cut on this team, but it's just a light green. Heavy God, I think he also did very well. We're going to give a slightly darker green there. Apex, best player in the major grand finals. Best player in the major grand finals. That's a pretty solid green for me. It's not a Senzu green, but it is a pretty solid green. Woxic is going to move into the red here also. And Elige, I remember an Elige clutch. But I think he's been pretty good. I think he was pretty good on that team. So now I have to go back to sheet one and think about some of the people I didn't have that were almost in, because I think a few of these names need to be floated now. You guys know I go through these phases, okay? So the eye test of my list right now would be something like this for how I think these players played out the year. This almost feels rude to these guys, though. Maybe I go like this. No, I think Shiro did better, though. I think Shiro did better at the major than him. So it's an individual list, too, you know? So there, I think that's about right. I think Spinks moves up. I think the main thing that I'm thinking is m0NESY and NiKo are barely in the top 10 right now. You know, no, Frozen's still beneath NiKo, just barely. And then, no, Senzu should be probably here. Yeah, we're going to move these guys down, and I want to put Senzu here. No, Senzu's better than Mezii, come on. torzsi now, finally, move him in. Heavy God, maybe again. Or no, Heavy God is better than him. Apex, Xontix, and then XANTARES. I'm just kind of throwing names in now at the bottom because I'm not really sure where they lie. Elige, Woxic. I'm gonna put 9-10 in the list. Don't worry. You know, I'll just throw them in. Who did I remove from the list then? Oh, Twist. Twist is out. Okay. All right. So 9-10's making it over Twist for sure. Actually, you know what? 9-10's above Testis. Let's do that. So it's something like this right now. But this is the eye test. Now we do it. All right, now we pull up the dreaded stat sheet. Now we see who's actually statistically did well or badly at the major, okay? So we are going to look at some of the people on this right side here, and we're gonna look at their stats. Let's do the stats of both of these, of stage 2 and stage 3, okay? We'll filter it all. All right, let's see who did well. Okay, we got Senzu. Oh, Dumao. No, I'm sorry. Dumao, you don't get to do absolutely nothing in the season and then make it on the list. I'm sorry. It just doesn't get to happen. You did fantastically. And also Yekindar, wow. That's actually better than I thought too. That's actually crazy. Yekindar, Lado, Rops, Frozen. Frozen did well. Okay, Frozen did well. Maybe I was too hard on him because he just didn't collect enough in terms of aura. NQZ. Ooh, that's a name that I should have been thinking about a little bit more, huh? Okay, actually, NQZ is being thrown into this one because he was already higher than Ultimate for me. So we're taking Ultimate out of that list completely. Boom, that's out of there. Sorry. And then Molodoy's there. Caserado, I got to start thinking about the players from Furia now. I actually have to think about these guys, don't I? Tanir, kind of towards the tail end. I think it's safe to say Testis is out. I think it's safe to say Testis will not make the cut of the real final top 21, okay? Let's start eliminating some people, okay? So where are these Navi guys at? Okay, Wonderful is the highest rated with 1.08. I'm sorry, none of them are making it. They are all gone. Goodbye, everybody from Navi. You are not a top player this year. Bit would have been the closest from the beginning of the year till now, but just didn't happen. Now, where is Tessis? Oh my God. Okay, so Tessis is all the way down here with a 1.03. It was catastrophic. This is stage 2. Okay, this is a stage 2 Tessis. This is actually much worse. Like the Lin Vision, it's safe to say he's not in. That's all that means. Okay, Yimpat's not making it, guys. Yimpat's still out of the list. He's out of the running. Bit is all the way down here. Where's Nertz? Ultimate got to a 1.11. Twist got a 1.08. And Nertz 1.03. Okay, Nertz is not making the list, guys. How about Blitz? Blitz 1.07. I think Blitz made it, guys. Okay, and let's see Woxic here. Oi, 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 oi. It doesn't undo everything, but it's not good. Rez? I wanted to put Rez in the initial list. You know, I had him on this list. This was earlier in the year. He was there in the consideration, in a strong consideration for top 20, but no major hurts a lot. It just hurts too much, okay? There's a case that he should have been on the list pre-major for me instead of like someone at the bottom here, Elige or Woxic, or even up to Zontix. I think there's really a case that he could have been on the list up to these people, but not making the major is just too big to overlook now. But thank you for dropping by, Ash. He will make top 20 this year. Let's go. Let's go, Ash. All right, you got to help him make it happen. Let's move back into the list, all right? Testis is gone. Somebody needs to fill his spot. The top 20 players, top 20 filter, and I'm going to put the events that I think mattered most, okay? I Am Katowice, Blast Open Lisbon, Stage 2, Austin Major. All right, we're going to bring up what I think are the 4 most important events, roughly speaking. Why is Dumao actually here? What is happening there? What the hell is that, man? I can't take that seriously. Okay, I think I got it. It might get one more revision, so I'm putting it in my C column, okay? I'm putting it in my C column. I think this is my top 21 list, okay? I'm going to look back at the numbers to do comparisons, and I do move-ups, move-downs after I make the more stats-informed list after, okay? So my list for the year thus far, halfway in the year point, okay? So we've got 6 months of Counter-Strike that's been played. We're 6.5 months deep into the year right now. This is going to influence what I perceive as the star players, the people that are fighting for something serious in terms of their individual legacies into the second half of the year. Let's get right into this one. At 21, rounding off the list, once again, in a shocking fashion, I'm going to just keep Elige. I'm putting Elige as my 21st player so far of the year once again. I don't love it, but he makes it again. I mean, I don't love that he's this low. I feel like he has been good enough. And at the major, he was good, okay? At the major, let's look at it. Okay, at the major, through stage 2 and stage 3, this is what he did, all right? This is what he accomplished. Couple ratings, like he bodied Heroic, he body bagged him, and like, you know, everybody's saying Tanir. Come on, in the head-to-head, it wasn't actually Elige that necessarily destroyed Tanir, but he did much better than him in the matchup that they had against each other. He's beating some levels of opposition that Tanir would love to beat. And he did pretty well against Mongols in both of these games. If we even change this to like a top 10 filter right here, it's still pretty serviceable. Let's see what Tanir even does if you put him in this kind of environment. So who is he beating and who's he losing to? So he gets like a 1.55 versus Tyloo. He's beating some... Why do his games look so easy? Like the one time he plays a team in the top 10 in any of these, in Lisbon, Kato, or the Major, he really only played one good team and it was FaZe. So his rating looks so crazy. The final points are so difficult here. What I wanted to do was this, guys. What I wanted to do pretty badly was this. I wanted to put NQZ here, but I don't think that's actually as viable as I want it to be. So I'm going to do this. Elige is going to go there, and NQZ is going to go here. I'm doing that. I'm doing NQZ at the 21 spot, Elige at the 20 spot, and I'm going to put, for my 19th best player, I'm going to put 910 as number 19 here. I think that this might become pretty hard to explain when it comes to Tanir versus, let's just take out context on all of this, and let's just look at NQZ versus Tanir for the year. The numbers will favor Tanir. I already know this for a fact. It's kind of like the gravity of what NQZ did was higher than anything that Tanir did. So all of these events are super green, and the numbers themselves are very good for Tanir, 1.13, but NQZ got third, fourth, while being the best player for Pain by a wide margin, and he got to the semifinals of the major. Like, I put JL so high last year because of what he did at the major. Let's make this LAN and with a top 30 filter, because I don't know, these guys play a lot of random teams, right? This is not really even that close, actually. The more I look at it, I'm considering gravity so much more than I probably should. But I wanted NQZ to make it just because I feel like somebody from Pain deserves some recognition. I was thinking this, guys. I was between Moladoy, NQZ, Tanir, K. Serato, and I'm just going to be honest, Blitz is not making it on my list. NQZ also matched Shiro and outpaced every other opera at the major. See, that kind of stuff is where the narrative building and the gravitas is so important for this. Because look at what he did at the major in stage 2 and 3. He was better than almost everybody on Furia, first of all, and except for Yakindar. He made it to the semifinals as their best player. I have a hard time discounting that. And he did better than Tanir. He did better than Tanir, who I want to put right over here as well. So the body of work is not that lengthy. It's just doing it when the pressure was truly on. But then he has a lot of bad other tournaments. So it's a little bit tough. And that's the thing. Also, yes, true. Pain didn't play with their full lineup for all 3 of these tournaments. Am I going to count that against him? Yeah, because I boost some people for doing well when they have stand-in situations. But I'm not going to dock him as many points as I would for like a 0.85 if you don't have your full lineup. Did they play with their full lineup here? I think they did, but they had Kawaz, which is not basically not your full lineup. I think that it's getting really rough right here. It's getting really rough. But I'm going to keep moving on, and we'll do MoveUps, MoveDowns a little bit later, okay? I'm going to put this. I'm going to do this. 22 is Tanir. Let's do that. And that's that. And then beyond that, it's probably like K. Serato or Moladoy, okay? Coming in at number 18 of the year thus far, we are getting a player that's obviously moved down from where he was throughout most of the run that these teams had, and that is going to be XANTARES. I want him to be a little bit higher as an individual, but I think the major showing was actually okay for him. So it's 1.07. Yeah, that doesn't really... You're just gonna move down a little bit here. Twist is off the list. XANTARES is down a bit here. Can I even put XANTARES beneath Zontix? Do I really believe that? No, I don't. I don't believe that. Okay, we're gonna do Zontix. Okay, Zontix is still down here. He's supposed to move up though. He's supposed to move up, but we're putting XANTARES right there at 17. Zontix above him. Now at number 16. Why does it feel like I'm missing a name? I don't think I can keep Heavy God as high as I have him. 1.06? There's no way. Okay, XANTARES still has to be above Heavy God. In fact, I'm just building the case for XANTARES every single time. So Heavy God at number 17, XANTARES at number 16. Do I really think Heavy God's better than Zontix again? That's gonna be for later. Apex, yeah, Apex gets higher than XANTARES for me now. Yeah, Apex moved up. Apex definitely moved up from what he did at this tournament. Okay, 1.05, but let's look at the playoffs. Best player in the grand finals, pretty bad versus Mouse, pretty bad versus Navi, quite good versus a VP team, quite good versus 3D Max, quite good versus Namiga, and bad versus Legacy. This alone is good enough to do a lot of heavy lifting, guys. He's definitely moving up spots for this. All right, I think we're almost completely set on the list here. torzsi, Frozen, Monacy, Exertion, Mezii, Senzu, Spinks, Flamesy, Shiro, Rops, Donk, Zywoo. What did I do? What did I do here? Oh, I took Woxic out? Okay. But he did so badly at the major, unfortunately. So I need to add another player because this is where it gets messy. These bottom three for me. I think I want to do this. This here, and then Woxic there. I think that's my list. I think I have to now go through the individuals and move them up or down. I can't believe, okay, this feels wrong. I don't think mezii could be this high, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think mezii's up here, but I don't think he's this high. Like, is mezii really better than m0NESY this year? I don't think so. I don't think mezii is actually better than any of these four people. So I think that can't stand. All right, that feels a bit better. Wow, mezii went from 12 to 12. Is that really right? Flamesy seems a little high. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, let's go into individuals one by one. I don't think I'm gonna put anybody else. Okay, so if it were up to me, there'd be a line here and then it'd be like Molodoi, Case Serato. That's kind of where I'm at for where this list is. And now we're gonna see the head-to-head through all of these people, okay? I will do it in reverse order, Woxic to Tenier, okay? We got Tenier here, Aurora, Woxic. I think he was like a 0.9 something though for the tournament. So yeah, he's right there. We're going to take out the context here of these two tournaments. We're going to do LAN 2025, top 30. So the numbers are obviously much better for Tenier. Let's make it top 20. But the problem is that Woxic is playing the best teams in the world all the time. Like, look at Tenier has 8 maps versus top 5 opponents. I bet Woxic has like 35, 21. Okay, not as many as I thought, but still over double. So it makes everything a lot more skewed when you are playing so many more games versus top opposition. Doesn't reach the highs of Tenier, to be fair. What even did Heroic do at any of these events? You know, like, oh, we got to farm this Mesa Nomadic. Okay, so we got to do the Kato play-in, stage 1 of Pro League, the Mesa, dude, he basically has only played 2 big events, right? If you click big events, it's only gonna be Dallas? What? Oh, they didn't even make it through stage 2. Man, this just makes it so the stakes of what Tenier is playing at is so low. It's so low, whereas Woxic is actually making it to the playoffs of almost every tournament he plays. Blast Bounty Grand Finals, Katowice playoffs, Cluj playoffs, Pro League playoffs, Lisbon top 4, Bucharest top 8, Astana top 3, you know, 3rd place, Dallas playoffs. The only playoffs they missed was the one that I said they would miss. And Woxic did very well in so many of these. Yeah, I think Woxic is above Tenier. I know that Tenier's numbers are crazy. And this might be where lists like this kind of fall apart, okay? Is Tenier a better player than Woxic? In some respects, yes. In some respects, yeah. Like the Tenier might pass him in the EyeTest. He might pass him in the stats test. So many different metrics. Tenier does better than Woxic, but Woxic is playing on stages. Tenier hasn't even played on a stage, has he? No, they didn't. They didn't play on a single stage all year, unless you count Mesa Nomadic Masters, which I don't. Yeah, I just can't involve a guy that has just not made it deep enough. It's like would I involve Kyosuke in this list? Like, how far am I going to go down just because people have high ratings? So then, okay, so moving on to NQZ and Woxic. This is another one where I feel like I might have to move Woxic up a little bit, okay? So Woxic might make my top 20 here. So let's do this. Woxic, yeah, guys, it's just unfortunate. Like, Tenier does deserve eventually to make it, but he doesn't yet. 2025, what did I do? LAN, let's do top 20. Yeah, I think Woxic maybe still deserves to be on this list, everybody. 1.06 to 1.04, 0.96 rating, 1.04 versus top opposition, 1.5, 1.05, 1.03. But to NQZ's credit, he carried them to the playoffs of the major. Okay, like that's something that the thing is that Woxic was one of the big reasons that they made it to all the playoffs of the other events. So now the question becomes, do I value the major so much that NQZ's body of work, which is weaker than Woxic's, then supersedes it? But there were so many poor tournaments for NQZ. Like, he didn't have his full lineup for these ones, but man, this was just so memorable and so important to Pain. It's tough. Okay, let's even shrink it a little bit here. Let's do opponents. Let's do the best opponents that they played throughout the season. So oh my God. So the vitality check on Woxic is fantastic. 1.23. Let's find some similar opponents. I don't think they played vitality on them. One map versus Spirit, 1.31. That's not bad. What did Woxic do versus Spirit? Bad, 0.93. What did they do versus VP? Okay, good sample size. 9 maps, 1.23 rating for NQZ. Now Woxic, VP, pretty much the same. pretty much the same, slightly better performance, but way less maps against each other now. And now this is usually where I actually just end up making a stance. Versus Pain throughout the year, Woxic has had a 1.29. That's very good. Versus Aurora or Eternal Fire this year, NQZ has been bad. 0.86, but then a 1.17. You balance this out, that's like a 1.00, right? Like plus 0.14, minus 0.14. The middle here is 1.0, and it's 3 maps versus 2, so you'd probably take the slightly higher. It's probably a 1.07 versus each other, if I'm just kind of, guesstimating the average of these involving total maps to total maps. So a 1.07 versus 1.29, I think I have to put Woxic, guys. And what was the biggest stakes that they played each other at? Let's see. Pain. Oh my God. He just decimated them. What is this? Bucharest? And this was it's the first round of the Swiss. He destroyed them though. But NQZ did well himself. And then another one here, Pro League in the Swiss, for elimination, that actually has some stakes. 1.11 to point. Okay. That's it. Those are their 2 head-to-heads. All right, I'm going to do this. Woxic makes it. Woxic made it for me, okay? The body of work is too strong. I'm not going to discount the entire year just for one bad event. It did lower him already. Like he was just 2020. He just stayed in the 20th position the entire time, actually. Okay, now Woxic versus Elige. Land 2025 top 20. Let's do Elige's 1.06 to 1.0. Holy shit. This is why the lists are important to make. This is why we have to differentiate these guys. I think Elige is just going to win because of the major. So we look at the events again between these two players. Elige at the major, 1.09, 1.09 from both stages and made the playoffs, okay? Elige has an EVP. What does Woxic have an EVP? Let's look at those things. Does he not have one? Oh, he didn't get one. Woxic got him last year. So that's that. Let's see Woxic's highs versus Elige's highs. So Woxic's highs, Blast Open Lisbon, pretty important. I Am Katowice, pretty important. 2 of my biggest events of the year so far, not including the major. And then Austin Major, bad. How about Elige? Events, Cluj-Napoca, decent. Melbourne, decent. And then the major, nice. Lisbon, kind of bad. Katowice, kind of meh. It's tough. Let's see the head-to-head. Oh, 0.96. Elige versus Aurora, bad. Wait, one map, 0.93, but then Eternal Fire, 0.96. Actually, they're both pretty bad versus each other. They actually pretty much are the same player versus each other. This is where EyeTest and my values system comes into play. It's Elige all day for me. It's Elige all day. It's a harder role. He's using rifles. Woxic has got the op. If I have a rifler putting up the same rating as an opper, I am taking that rifler every time. Okay, I'm just taking that rifler. Okay, that's just how it goes. The amount of impact that Elige has in these games to me is higher than Woxic. So boom, that's how I make the final decision on these kinds of things. Also, the major and Elige having some pretty nice games at it. Instrumental in beating the Mongols, Maus. Yeah, like some of these games are a little bit less impressive. Like I think this is kind of a weird one here where Elige and Woxic just did the same. Technically, Aurora won this, but actually almost not like against Woxic's will. Okay, so either way, 9-10 versus Elige. Let's just get into that. Does 9-10 have any? He has 2 EVPs already, and let's just see. So I think he's going to clear him. LAN 2025, top 20 filter, a little bit better than Elige. Wow, this is actually working out way closer to rating than I had expected, actually. Let's see the events, 1.11, so better at the major already. And let's see the other events that I care about, okay? Lisbon, 1.12. Yep, that's pretty darn good. Katowice, 1.11. This is already looking like a better resume than Elige's. Better, yeah. Case closed. Case closed, okay? 9-10's had a better year so far than Elige, no doubt about it. Now we're moving on. Zontix might be lower than 9-10. Now that I'm seeing 9-10's case, let's check this out. Do playoff stats, post 9-10's playoff stats. Okay, I'll do playoffs. Oh my God. This is playoff stats of all of these events. Guys, this is pretty insane. 1.20 at the playoffs of the major. I think 9-10's going to move higher than a few of these guys. I think he's going to pass up a couple of these guys. I think his major performance definitely is lifting him more so. So Zontix, yeah, this isn't feeling right, is it? Something about this a little fishy. Yeah, it's not looking so good, eh? Lisbon, very good. Katowice, quite good. Decent, but 9-10's better. 9-10's better. Does he even have an EVP this year? I don't think he does. Zontix is moving down one. Yeah, all right, 910's better. Now the question, though, is Zontix versus Liege, because now these two are pitted against each other. Okay, Zontix versus Liege. I didn't think I was even going to do this one, but let's see. I think Liege looked better to me. Bit has an EVP, but dude, the rest of his, one good event. He basically just had one good event. I'm not counting it so much that it makes me forget everything else. This is pretty close, I'm not going to lie. Lisbon 1.12, that's better than Liege's 0.90. Katowice 1.00, Zontix had a 1.05, that's better. And the major 1.05. Liege beats him at the major with the 1.09s coming out. Damn, that's actually pretty close. Yeah, I'll keep Zontix ahead for now. Okay, now Heavy God, love him, but I don't think he's better than 910 this year. Okay, 910, I don't think there's any case for it. I just don't see any world where, I think he's been great, but yeah, you'd have to really convince me with something crazy here. The numbers are better. Yes, the numbers are better. Let's do top 20, top 20. It's almost the same. Okay, events versus events here. Really consistent, really good. 1.06 at the major. I mean, 910 already clears him there. Lisbon 1.07. 910 already clears him there. And then 1.00 at Katowice, 910 clears him. 910 beat Heavy God in actually every single tournament that I wanted him to beat him at. The only tournaments that Heavy God's better at are these ones that I just care a little bit less about. So yeah, there's no way that happens. So so now 910 is going to be compared versus XANTARES. I could do Heavy God versus Zontix, actually. You know what? For the sake of it, let's see. I think Heavy God's just the better player, though. I would have a hard time building a case for Zontix as the better player in any capacity. If I just go raw numbers are looking a little sharper for Heavy God here. In almost every category, he's better. Like every single category except for KST, I guess. But then once he gets to versus the best opposition, it goes down to a 0.98 and a 1.00. Pretty similar overall. So this is where bias comes in here. Let's see. At the big events, let's see. Katowice 1.00. Zontix had slightly better at 1.05. Lisbon 1.12 is really good for Zontix, though. That's actually curious. Actually, you know what I need to be thinking about here? Did Heavy God's major put him over Zontix? That's all I need to worry about here. Did his major lift him above that? The numbers are slightly better for Heavy God. And in the opposition category, it's actually very good for Heavy God. It's very good. Versus who was it? The Mongols? He did extremely well and very well versus Aurora. Whereas on the other hand, what did Zontix get his numbers from? Got some numbers from Maus, actually did better versus Navi, but then did bad versus Linvision and Pain. It's tough. I think the totality of the work from Zontix is a little bit better again. I don't think that the major is better enough that Heavy God gets it over Zontix. So we're going to do this. Wow, that's a little bit better than I thought for Zontix again. Heavy God, moving down just a tad. One EVP for Heavy God? Does he really? Yeah, the PGL event. That's not the biggest event for me, okay? Yeah, I'm not going to count the single EVP. I think Zontix has shown more consistency at big events. I don't love what I'm looking at here for the major, but it's just such a... It's basically like Zontix was just a smidgen worse than Heavy God, and Heavy God had this one beastly-ass series, but this one beastly series doesn't undo Zontix doing very well for Spirit on some other tournaments, and Katowice and Lisbon. All right, moving on to the next head-to-head, 910 versus XANTARES. This is going to be a weird one because the numbers are just going to look completely different. LAN 2025, top 20 filter, 1.12 versus 1.07. Versus the top teams, I think XANTARES are going to probably do better. Yeah, he does way better. One bad major, but he didn't even do badly at the major. It wasn't really his fault that they lost. And comparing that to 910, yeah, that's not going to overtake him. So XANTARES is going to stay on top. So let's do XANTARES versus Apex here, because this is another curious one. So Apex at the major, he didn't have the best rating. It wasn't like he did something extraordinary until the grand finals. Until the grand finals, Apex was just kind of his normal self, but then he just ascended for those grand finals. And that counts for something. That counts for something. At Katowice, 1.10. At Lisbon, 0.97. At the major, 1.03. Sub 1.0 KD for practically all of this. But while IGLing and creating an era, I tend to favor an era builder. As an individual, man, that grand final is doing a lot of heavy lifting to get him this high. Because as an individual, he's probably worse than a few of these, but I'm not putting Apex beneath 15th, okay? I'm going to say that right now. Right now, I'm not putting Apex beneath 910, okay? The only thing is, does the head-to-head in I think it's actually unfair to XANTARES now. No. XANTARES is ahead of him. Okay, I'll be fair. I'll be a bit more fair to XANTARES because Apex is playing a lot of the same spots as XANTARES, or a few of them. He's playing outside rifler on Nuke. They both play that. Connector on Mirage. They both play that. XANTARES is just the better player. And XANTARES is the reason that Aurora found the consistency that they did in this season to make it to the playoffs of every event, barring the very final one. Apex, on the other hand, as an individual, I'm giving him already a lot of credit because these numbers don't really speak to being a top 20 player in the world already. It's just that the gravity, the games that he's playing in, the stakes, he's playing against every team trying to beat him as hard as anybody else. He doesn't have beneath a 1.00 rating versus any level of opposition, which is already incredibly impressive. And I think that's might even be better than 9-10 or some of these guys towards the bottom here. But yeah, top 15 is healthy for Apex, but I don't think any higher than that is actually merited. So now XANTARES versus torzsi. So I think this is a little bit curious because torzsi is one of my biggest move downs of anybody so far in the season. So we're going to do LAN 2025, top 20, 1.09 versus a 1.12. The numbers clearly in favor of XANTARES, and torzsi kind of ruined this for himself with this major. It's not even that bad KD wise, but it's just in terms of the way that he collapsed in some of these games really hurt their chances. But I think this is where I'm going to look a little bit to the head-to-head. Maus as a team is better. So what I kind of want here for torzsi to actually be better or stay higher than XANTARES is I want in the head-to-head torzsi to have a better rating than XANTARES, but by something like 0.03. So versus Eternal Fire, 1.31. Insane. Versus 1.16. That's pretty absurd in the head-to-head. And versus Maus, it's his worst team. It's the team that he plays the worst against. Apex versus 9-10. Apex versus 9-10. Apex. Okay, fine. I'll look at Apex versus 9-10. You guys want the head-to-head. All right. Are you guys talking about just this grand final? Apex has a 1.37 in the grand final. 9-10 has a 0.88. Why did you guys want this so badly? Better team, but he's calling for that better team to be good. He had the second highest ADR in the grand finals and the highest overall rating. No. Why did I look at this? 9-10 got into the list because of the major, guys. He got into the list for me. Remember, this was my final list right here, and I didn't even have 9-10 on it. Okay? So 9-10 already did himself a huge service to make it this far. Okay, done. All right, now we're moving on to the next one. XANTARES, torzsi. I think torzsi wins because of the head-to-head. torzsi mezii is a crazy one. This feels like you're comparing apples and oranges completely. They both have pretty decent team success. They both have been playing elite opponents consistently. I'm going to probably even move this to a top 10 filter, okay? 1.07 to 1.09 versus the best opposition, 1.03, 1.09. Versus the best opposition, 0.98, 1.03. Pretty bad for mezii, if I'm being honest. Let's look at events really quickly here, though. So 0.95 at the major, whereas mezii 1.15. Like, that is so massive. And at the big events that I care about, Katowice 1.08 for mezii, pretty similar to torzsi, even in a losing effort. I would give actually almost more credit to torzsi here for putting up these numbers while Maus just crashed out of it. And Lisbon 1.07 in second place, losing to Vitality, whereas mezii got backpacked to 1.00. Man, it's close, but I feel like torzsi made a really strong case for himself throughout the year. It's just that in the Vitality game, he just really fell apart. And this is where mezii did decent work, but not great. torzsi 3 EVPs, 1 for mezii. What was mezii's? Was it the major? Probably the major, right? I didn't really look at the whole EVP discussion. torzsi has 3. Dallas, EPL, and Cluj. And mezii has 1, the major. The body of work is so good for torzsi. I'm going to give it to torzsi. Like, if I were building a team tomorrow, I'd probably want torzsi over him. Wow, really? I thought he was going to move up. I had he was going to move up in the list, but I just couldn't merit it. I think it's just that the people that moved down didn't move down as far enough to actually make it so mezii actually got to pass anybody. All right, moving on from that. I think I'm going to put it like this, actually. I thought mezii would move up, but it's just not. I can't justify it enough. Now, torzsi versus Frozen. This is pretty weird because I think torzsi's had way better team success, but Frozen's been such a stud. Been a stud as an individual. I think the fun one to look at is actually going to be Frozen versus NiKo in just a second here. Top 20, 1.12, 1.09. Yeah, better for Frozen versus elite teams. Dude, that's insane. The fact that Frozen is putting up these numbers with FaZe being in the state that it's in versus top teams, 1.14, versus torzsi 1.0. Dude, I don't know how I'm possibly going to even make a case for torzsi here, okay? Just doesn't even seem remotely possible. Major 1.08 again. Okay, so already Frozen beat him at the major, and at the stage 2, he just smurfed on people. Katowice 1.12 versus better rating and higher placement than torzsi, and then at Lisbon 1.07 versus every single metric Frozen won. Now I'm actually curious to Frozen versus NiKo. So Frozen, 1.14 versus top 5, 1.10 for NiKo. Hey, Frozen's got better numbers. Okay, let's make this like true test of elite now. Let me look at the events again. The ones that I care about. Katowice for NiKo. Oh, that ain't good. 1.04 versus Frozen's 1.12. Oh my goodness. Wait a second. The case is building. 1.12 at Lisbon for Frozen. NiKo 1.0. Oh no. The case has been built. Oh, the case has absolutely been built. There's no case. There's no case for NiKo to be better than Frozen this year. There's zero case. There's zero case for it. Okay, Frozen takes over NiKo in my rankings. Wow, NiKo actually fell off so badly. Wait, does NiKo even pass torzsi? Oh no. Wait, I have to do the head-to-head here. Uh-oh. Land top 20. 1.11. It's looking good for NiKo right now, guys. It's looking good, but hold on. Let's look at 1.10. Is it really good versus top opposition? It's hard for torzsi to have a case here. So let's look at the events, though, that I care about. Katowice, 1.11. Again, NiKo. Remember, they both came in pretty much dead last place. 1.11 versus 1.04. Okay? It wasn't torzsi's fault. Might have been NiKo's. 1.03 at Lisbon. torzsi, on the other hand, 1.07. Now at the major, 0.95, but in the playoffs of a stage that NiKo didn't even make it to. Guys, it's tough. And also, everybody wants me to keep looking at EVPs. 3 EVPs at Dallas, EPL, and Cluj, and my voice keeps getting higher. Versus NiKo, just the one at Bucharest. Does the top 10 filter work? For torzsi? I don't even think I'll even see his Katowice, though. That's the problem. Because, okay, 1.05. Okay, let's look at top 10. Let's look at in the elite versus elite competition. It's pretty similar. Pretty similar. I'd generally take NiKo, though, in these kinds of situations. 1.03, 1.09. That's not really swaying me a lot. Let's look at the head-to-head. I didn't think I'd bust this one out. 1.03 versus Maus. Wait a second. What about torzsi? How's he doing versus Falcons? Oh, he's not really doing that much better. He's doing 1.05. See the matches? Let's see the highest stakes of any of these matches. Okay, I'm going to click through all of them right now. We're going to see which one was where it mattered the most. Dallas. What kind of game was this? Winner advances to semi. It's to get to the playoffs. Okay. Blast Rival Season 1, semi-final. Falcons won. And that's pretty important. It's pretty important. torzsi did meh. NiKo did actually meh, so that doesn't really give him a point. Melbourne, semi-final. Falcons won. That's actually probably more important than any of these. And torzsi bought it out. Okay. I think that's the difference. Okay. I think that might be it, guys. NiKo just absolutely destroyed torzsi there. Now Lisbon, okay, pretty good. Upper bracket quarterfinal, 0.99 to torzsi, not that much better. EPL, don't really care about this. Swiss State, no, I don't care about that. Cluj Grand Finals. torzsi, just the 0.96 versus NiKo's. Nah, NiKo's gonna stay better, guys. I'm not putting torzsi above NiKo, guys. It's not possible, okay? But NiKo fell down all the way to 11th, okay? That is what that is. So let's keep going. So now we are in the land top 20. NiKo versus Frozen. We already put him. Frozen versus mezii. This is not one that I thought that I was going to be looking at either. But let's see how these two stack up against each other. Events versus events. 1.07 at stage 2 versus, Frozen did better, man. Frozen did better. Let's look at the events side by side. Katowice, 1.05 for mezii. Losing effort for G2. Frozen, 1.12. Similar placement. Actually, slightly better placement. So Frozen got a point there. Now Lisbon, 1.31. This is where mezii just was hard carrying the hell out of G2. And really, Frozen didn't even see highs like that for the season. 1.12. It's really close, but I think mezii is going to still stay above him. Like, look at how green this is. Just look at how green that is. I don't think I can actually really put him above him. I think the Lisbon performance itself is just so unbelievable for mezii, and this Rivals event is too, and the Melbourne. Like, look at this stretch of events right here. Like, that's just crazy. 6 consecutive events with above a 1.2 rating. Like, Frozen has only broke 1.2 twice, and one was stage 2 of the major, and the other was Cluj. Okay, that's not even close. Now, Mondesi wins for sure. Exertion, I've heard you, Bobabinski. I heard what you were saying, that that Exertion is a polar bear in Arlington, Texas, okay? Let's see it with our very own eyes. Okay, Katowice, no bueno. Lisbon, also sub 1.0 KD. He had a sub 1.0 KD at all 3 of these events. I don't care that he's at a true fragger. That's something I care about beyond rating. Okay, that is not as good as Frozen. Okay, I'm gonna even put this. Okay, now for me, it's actually, once again, I'm gonna move all of these guys up, and I'm gonna put Exertion right there next to torzsi, and now I'm gonna do NiKo versus Exertion, and I'm gonna do torzsi versus Exertion. Okay, we need to stat check these guys, because I think torzsi might be better than Exertion at the events that matter to me. I think Exertion only did better than him at one event, and it's the major. So Katowice 1.11 versus Exertion. I think he did badly here. Well, 0.84, yeah, that's already bad. Lisbon 1.07 for torzsi versus 1.07, but it's a very different 1.07. But let's just call it a draw, even though I would lean torzsi favor on that one too. And at the major, it's a 1.10 from rating, but KD wise, actually, torzsi did better. But in the big matches at the very end, or let's just see versus the best opponents. They're playing the same team. So 1.03, what is Exertion getting? 1.03. Wow. 1.08 for, wow. It's almost the same. It's almost the identical stuff. Let's look at versus the best now, the best of the best. Let's look at versus the vitality check. 0.89 for torzsi. He has been getting destroyed by them. 0.97. His worst team, but not as bad. I have reason to believe that Exertion has been better than torzsi this year. Versus Falcons, 1.04 for Exertion. For torzsi, it's like the same thing. Now, Spirit, 1.09 for torzsi. What about Exertion? For Spirit, well, it's like the same number every time. Okay, so for my earlier list, they were all neck and neck, torzsi, Spinks, and Exertion. Does the major lift him over? Because they were neck and neck. They were all right there. I thought from the major that Exertion did better than torzsi. I think that torzsi is going to make it over Exertion here. Let's do this one more time. Events. Yeah, we're gonna look at these matches. We're just gonna look at these matches one by one. All right, we're gonna look at these side by side. Who's doing well and who in what context at the major? Okay, so Austin major for both of these guys, because this is where it really counts. It's looking pretty good for torzsi or Exertion. Okay, does well versus VP in a loss. Does well versus FaZe in a loss. Does good versus decent versus Liquid here. Does good versus Aurora to get them that win to make sure they stay alive. Does well versus Legacy to get them into the playoffs, does well versus Spirit to get the win, and did very well versus Vitality to actually, and they still lost. torzsi, on the other hand, badly versus VP, badly versus FaZe. They both did well versus Liquid. torzsi ascended on map 3, but first 2 maps, I think Exertion was carrying much more of that load. And then Legacy, wow, torzsi almost nuked them into oblivion off of these 2 games. Whereas Exertion kind of came alive on this one. I'm going to give this to Exertion. And yeah, we're boiling it down to just a single event here, but this is the most important event of the year. torzsi's lows are wildly low in comparison. And I'm going to say this series alone, this does a lot for Exertion. Like, they did not lose this because of him. 12-3 on openers is insane for a rifler versus ZywOo, Rops, and Flames. That's so crazy. That's such a ridiculous stat line right there that, yeah, I'm going to keep Exertion above him. But I don't think Exertion makes it above NiKo. Let's just put that out there. All right, he's not better than NiKo this year. Okay, moving on. Mondesi versus Senzu. Wow. Didn't think, wow, that's a crazy one too. Senzu's major is just unbelievable though, okay? Everything else barely got him on the list, but 1.29 at the actual major is such a ridiculous high. That's better than Mondesi did at all of these events, and Senzu did it at the major. The highs of Senzu came at the perfect time, okay? It was bad at Katowice for him, though. That hurts him. It was good at Lisbon. 1.14 is still good. Like, that's like if you take Mondesi's Lisbon versus and his Kato combine, you average these two, you're getting a 1.18, maybe. Senzu, on the other hand, you average his Lisbon and his Kato, and you're getting like a 1.0. But the major versus each other, 1.07 in a stage 2 where Mondesi cost them, and then Senzu just ridiculous stuff. His last matches destroyed Vitality in the grand finals on one map. He had some kind of softball opponents, if I'm being completely honest, throughout the major. Like this isn't the best competition. So let's look at this versus elite opponents, top 10 versus top 10, because most of these guys have been playing at that level. 1.05 versus 1.08, 1.18, that's massive. 1.12 versus a 0.98. Senzu's major is unreal, but it doesn't move him above m0NESY. Nah, m0NESY's still better. He's still the better player for the year. He still is. Okay, so m0NESY gets there. Now I'm going to compare Senzu versus Frozen is a good fight. It's good. It's good. I might have to move Senzu down a little bit here. I wanted him to be the biggest climber at 16 with the bold green right here, but I don't know if he can pass all. He passed these three and mezii, but I don't know where it stops. That major is just unreal, though. It's almost like JL levels of heavy lifting for what he did at the major. So yeah, I think m0NESY is better than Senzu. Senzu versus Frozen here. Top 10? Did I do top 10 for Frozen though? 1.09 versus 1.05. That's pretty considerable. But at the major, 1.26 versus, let's see, 1.08, and then Katowice 1.17 versus 1.8. The Kato ruins him, but Blast Open Lisbon is pretty good. 1.17 versus 1.12. I'll keep Senzu above Frozen just because it's such a ridiculous major. His major is better than anything that Frozen did for the entire year, okay? That's just crazy. So yeah, no, we're keeping that. Now Spinks. I don't know if Spinks actually moved up this much. I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if he should be 6. And head-to-head, it doesn't look good. This is top 10, so top 20, like, I mean, pretty lopsided. But and the major for Spinks, nah, it's not that good. Okay, 1.08 versus m0NESY had a 1.07, but lost them that. So this is red to me. I know this is green right now, but this is in my brain. This is red. This is because of the 2 BO1s that he was so bad at. I almost want to do this actually right now. So m0NESY is better than Spinks, almost surely. So let's move that there. But is he better than Senzu? The games that he did well versus Spirit, that's big. That's a huge one. Versus Aurora, that's good. Liquid, pretty good. FaZe, yeah. Okay, let's see their actual head-to-head for the year. So Spinks versus Frozen. C matches, 1.04. Ooh, that's not that good. What did Frozen do versus Maus this season? Probably not great. Ooh, they have the exact same rating. No. Wait, 1.09. For some reason, I thought that was 1.05. Okay. All right, let's look at the quality of the wins between each other and everything. So Cluj-Napoca, this was a Swiss game. The winner went to the playoffs, phase 1. Okay, this is Blast Rivals, quarterfinal, Maus won. And then this is the major in a BO1. And in the low sample size, Spinks did very well. Frozen did, I think Spinks actually beats out Frozen. Yeah, I think Spinks beats out Frozen here. Wait, I was looking Spinks versus Senzu. Why did I pull up Frozen? Okay, I don't know what the hell just happened, though. I don't think Senzu's going to beat Spinks. Land top 20, land top 20. Let's look at the big events. So Spinks didn't play Katowice, but he played Lisbon. He got 1.04. Actually, Senzu might be better. Yeah, I'm going to put Senzu. You know what? Senzu made it. Senzu made it above him. Spinks is above Frozen. m0NESY's right there. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking where this list is headed, guys. That's where I've got so far. I still have to move these guys around a little bit. Moving forward a little bit more, we've got m0NESY versus Flamesy. I don't know how Flamesy could keep this up. So land top 20, pretty good. Pretty darn good for land top 20 between these two. Let's do land top 10 because we really should just be caring about the most elite stuff here. Land top 10, 1.12 versus 1.18. It's looking good for m0NESY, okay? He's doing insanely well versus the best teams in the world as well. Flamesy didn't do great at the major. Did pretty well versus at Lisbon. Did very well at Katowice. m0NESY, on the other hand, did decent, not that great at Kato. Did badly at the major for my money. Did badly at the major, but he did very well at Lisbon. Flamesy at Lisbon did well. This is tough. It's kind of a team success versus player, but m0NESY really cost his team a lot at stage 2. But he also elevated his team so many times versus this. This is tough, man. This is really tough. I won't lie to you. I feel like I have to take into account so many different factors here. Let's look at opponents here. So versus Falcons, Flamesy's barely keeping his head above water. And versus Vitality, m0NESY's keeping up as good as anybody is right now. I feel like m0NESY should go down in my list for what he failed to do at the major. But it's not like Flamesy had a good major himself. That's what really hurts about this. You look at Flamesy And it's a 1.07, but one of those is just a good game versus Amiga. One of those is just a good game versus 3D Max. And then once he started playing really decent opposition, yeah, he had a couple good maps versus the Mongols, which is great. Actually, you know what? That he gets credit for that. He does get credit for that. He was the best player. He's one of the best players on the final map of the major. And on the second map of the major, he did pretty well too. That's pretty good stuff. Monacy, how did Monacy do versus Flames? I think this is probably gonna be a big determinant. Yeah, Monacy 1.09, Flamesy 0.93, worst player, got backpacked. I'm going to keep Monacy above Flamesy. I don't think Flamesy really earns the right to be a top 5 player right now. If he had really just smurfed his way through the major and put up some like 1.18 or something, I think I would have moved him above Monacy. It would have been a big enough case for me, but this doesn't look good. This just doesn't look great for him, okay? And if you even you go further and you look at versus top opposition, you know, it's not really that. This isn't my favorite thing to look at. So I'm gonna keep Monacy there, even though he was part of the disaster class that occurred. Okay. Now Monacy versus Shiro. Wow. Before the major, I had Monacy. I had him above Shiro, but after the major, I think Monacy has to move down. I thought Shiro probably had to move up a little bit. So let's see, Shiro versus Monacy. Let's go head to head. 1.21 versus 1.25, but let's do top 10 because this is really about elite stuff, isn't it? 1.16 versus 1.18. Now, versus the best opponents in the world, Monacy's going up, putting up a 1.12. Shiro's numbers are lower in almost every single capacity here. And at the major, he did bad. He did not do well versus top 10. Wow, that's not great. This is not great for Shiro. What happened? Wow, very bad versus Maus. Very bad, and not even really great versus Navi. One great map, one mediocre, one bad map. So that's not a good case. That's not a good case. Like, the major didn't really get Shiro any points here. Yeah, I know Shiro did a 1.29 in Lisbon, but I still had Monacy had a even better rating at Lisbon. Okay, what about EVPs and everything? 3. Astana, Lisbon, Bounty. Now what about Monacy? 5. EPL, Bucharest, Melbourne, Rivals, Dallas. Astana, Lisbon, Bounty. I don't know why they put Bounty as not... Okay, I guess they're doing prestige versus not prestige, but I think Lisbon is the third most important event of the season. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard for me to put Shiro here above Monacy still, even though Monacy had 2 bad BO1s, but those were so impactful for his team. So impactful. And the thing is, if I really look at it for Shiro, I mean, his BO1s were good, but did they really make it through this series because of him? I mean, one good map, just got hard carried on the first map, and then the second map he showed up, and then they just ran away with it. Let's do head-to-head. Opponents versus Falcons, 1.08. It's just this one series. That single series was what? Blast Rivals upper bracket final, and Monacy had a 1.14. Shiro had a 1.08. It's pretty hard to differentiate between the two right now. Let me go through their events that I care about again. Let's just do this one, okay? Monacy, let's add context. Let's do IM Katowice 25. Let's do that. Let's do Blast Open Lisbon 2025. And then let's do Blast Austin Stage 2. Blast Austin, just do that. Higher rating, Monacy 1.14, Shiro 1.17. Let's look at these side by side now. Okay, so in these events that I care about, 1.17 versus a 1.14. That's pretty good. So versus the best opponents at the most important events, 1.03, 1.11, 1.12. For Shiro, 1.08, more consistent. More consistent and actually better against better opposition. I mean, in terms of the other stats, DPR, Shiro wins, KST, Shiro wins, impact rating, which I'm always kind of whatever on, Monacy wins, ADR, dead tie, KPR, practically a dead tie. Let's look at some of these, like damage per round win. So how hard are they carrying? Pretty similar, actually. It's only a little bit better for Monacy. Damage per round is a little bit in the favor of Shiro, let's not forget. Kills per round win, 0.94. Kills per round win, 1.01 for him. Rounds with a kill. Shiro actually has more rounds with a kill in Monacy. 1.14, higher rating, rounds with a multi-kill. Pretty similar, a little bit favored for Monacy. Pistol round rating, wow, way better for Shiro. 1.12. Why are Monacy's pistols so bad? 0.85, wow. Now entering, I don't know if I really want to care about. Okay, clutch points per round, 0.01. Shiro, 0.03. That's actually pretty good. 1v1 percentage, why is he so bad? Why are they both so bad at one-on-one wins? Holy crap, why are they so bad? The saves per round loss, I always hate that stat being high. How about utility? How about flash assist? Flash assist per round for Mauisnake 0.07. Flash assist for Shiro 0.06, the same. Flashes thrown, pretty similar, whatever. Sniping, sniper kills per round 1.35, same exact. Sniper kill percentage, very similar. Shiro a little higher. Sniper multi-kill rounds 0.09. Wow, they're practically the same. They are really so similar. Let's look at these events one more time. 1.10 Kato, 1.29 Lisbon, 1.13 Austin Major. Mauisnake, on the other hand, 1.05 Kato, that's worse. Lisbon, 1.26, that's worse. Wow, that's worse. Austin Major, stage 2, 1.11 versus 1, that's worse. That's all worse. They're all worse. Oh, I think Shiro passed him. Yeah, I think Shiro did pass him. Okay, that's probably the most shocking move down, I guess, over the other player. Okay, yeah, all right, Shiro's better right now. Shiro is the second best sniper of the year. Can you believe it? Yeah, that's it. I think, yeah. I looked at it all, I broke it all down, and I'm gonna say, like, gravity of the moment, yeah, Shiro did badly in the semifinals or whatever or the quarters of the major, but Mauisnake did badly on day 1 versus Bait and Linvision. This is so inexcusably bad. You know, Shiro took care of business versus Linvision and Pain. He destroyed them. He took care of business. I mean, it sucks because it's not really Mauisnake's fault that they lost the BO3. The BO3 loss, I pin a lot on NiKo, Tessis, I mean, everybody else. I mean, Mauisnake did everything he could to keep them alive in this tournament. Just everybody else let him down. So yeah, I'm gonna say Shiro's better this year. All right, now comparing Shiro to Rops. Let's go. Pull them up side by side again. Okay, land 20. Look at the big events. Katowice 1.22 for Rops. It's already better than Shiro. Lisbon 1.12. Okay, a little bit worse technically. Major 1.13, but Rops 1.22. Like, this has just been an unbelievable year for Rops. Ever since that single series loss versus Eternal Fire, dude, he hasn't even gone beneath a 1.11 at any event. Shiro barely has, but it's just that the highs and how important they are so much more important. Like, okay, Lisbon was Shiro's best event in my eyes. I guess you could say the bounty, sure, yes. Like, yeah. But to me, it's a little bit less of a. I guess it's an interesting format, but I don't find it always as compelling as Lisbon did. And also, it was in an arena at Lisbon. Then the next big event, like these 1.11s for the big dogs, whereas every big event, Katowice and the major, above a 1.22. And I would argue Lisbon is the third most important event of the season. So for Shiro's best event to be the third most important in my eyes, I mean, Kato and the major are more important objectively. So they just are. They're just more important, really. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if you can say objectively about any of this stuff ever. You can never say objectively, actually. The major might be the least competitive or important if you only care about format. So you can't say objectively. But either way, yeah, Rops wins. Now, Rops is not beating Donk or Zywoo, but let's look at it. Donk, Zywoo. Let's peer into the untouchables. Katowice, 1.36. Lisbon, 1.42. Major, 1.41. Every single rating he has at the most important 3 events are better than Rops' best events. Donk is on another level of what a rifler can accomplish this year. Zywoo, on the other hand, Katowice, 1.42. Lisbon, 1.44. Austin Major, 1.39. Funnily, Donk did better at the major than Zywoo, but he just finished so much further down. Giga prestige events. Let's just do that. Let's add the context, okay? Let's add the context. I am Katowice, Open Lisbon, Austin Major. Let's do that. And for the hell of it, let's look at Rops, who is clearly our third best player. We got Zywoo with a 1.42 at these events. We got Donk at a 1.41. Rops, it is the most distant third, like, ever. This is crazy. Last year we had a really cool 3-way race. But my God, this is the most 2-man race it's ever been. Okay, Donk versus Zywoo. Let's just pour through the stats here. Okay. Again, let's look at the events all side by side. Let's do top 20. Top 20. Okay, you can't play noobs. Okay, 1.36, 1.42, 1.41, 1.42, 1.44, 1.39. Let's look at some of these, like, damage per round win and all that. So damage per round win, 109.1 for Zywoo. For Donk, it is a ridiculous, unbelievable 121. That is the hardest carrying we have ever seen in Pro Counter-Strike. What we are getting at 1.23 kills per round win, 1.10 for Zywoo. Kills per round, like, I mean, Donk beats him in every single metric except for deaths. He just dies more. He really just dies more. Now, clutch points per round, 0.02. Zywoo, 0.03. One-on-one round win percentage. Actually, Donk is insane. 83%. Holy crap. He's almost never last alive. 6.3% versus 11.9. Opening kills per round. Donk has 0.17. He's taking 28.6 of his opening attempts for his team, and he's winning 58%. That is unbelievable. Zywoo is taking way less, but he's winning way more. So opening kills per round, 0.14 to 0.17. So Donk obviously is going to die more early. And Zywoo, this opening kill ratio is crazy. He's getting twice as many kills per round opening than he is dying. That's so ridiculous. And let's see, entering. Saved by teammates, 0.11. Traded deaths. Yeah, he's getting a lot of deaths traded. Opening deaths, I don't know. I don't care about these too much. Okay, trading. Let's see trading. How often they get to bait. Trade kills per round, 0.15 for Zywoo. For Donk, 0.22. Trade kills percentage, 23. Zywoo, less of, actually, assisted kills percentage, 25.5. For Donk, it's 24.3. It's kind of weird. These are a little weird. The damage per kill is a little bit like, it's impressive that Zywoo keeps up this number in damage per kill as Donk does. They both have a very high number there. Percentage of kills that were on opponents that had already been damaged by teammates. So Zywoo's killing more people that have been damaged already by teammates, but Donk, percentage of kills that were on opponents within 5 seconds of them killing a teammate. So Donk's playing in the pack a lot, sometimes getting to go second after Chopper and Magic's running first. So he's getting more of those. Overall, versus the best players in the world, or best teams, Zywoo keeps up insane numbers, so does Donk. Zywoo's look a little better. Now, this is where it gets kind of important, okay? Look at the opponents, though, head-to-head. Vitality has been Donk's kryptonite, okay? It's a 1.14 rating at these kind of events. Even with Donk putting up an unbelievable... Like, Donk did everything he could at the Major. This is the semifinal of the Major. Donk did what he could. But Zywoo went berserk. You know, Zywoo, or Lisbon. I was like, they didn't play at the semifinals. I don't know. Okay, yeah. Semifinals of Lisbon. Zywoo was in the right place at the right time on every single kill. I remember watching this back, and it almost looked ridiculous. It almost looked too easy. Donk, on the other hand, was like fighting against a brick wall, and all of his teammates were just dying every time they could. I want to see all of their games against each other, actually, this season. Let's see it. So we have 3 matchups here. We had Blast Rivals. Vitality 1. Zywoo 1.44. Donk 1.17. Lisbon semifinals. Zywoo 1.34. Donk 1.43. And then we had Katowice grand final. Zywoo 1.69. Donk even crumbled here, 0.88. I think it goes without saying, guys, that this is the definitive list for the top 20 players of the year. I think that there's some people I could fight for between the top 21 and 22, so I don't really want to even include them if I'm being completely honest with you. I usually do include the 21 and 22, but there's so many names that I could pour through for who I think could be actually instead of Tanir or NQZ that I don't really want to stand by that. So I'm going to actually do this. I'm going to put these guys a little bit lower, and I'm going to put a dash, dash, dash here. And then I'm just going to do my top 20 of the year so far. Okay, I went through NQZ versus Woxic. I went through Tanir versus Woxic. I don't think Molodoi and Quesarado are there yet, and I don't think Rez merits a spot when he doesn't play the Major at all, okay? That's just what it is. This is my definitive top 20. I'm going to read through it one more time for you guys. Zywoo, number 1. Donk, number 2. Rops, number 3. Huge gap between 2 and 3, by the way. Shiro, number 4. Monacy, number 5. This is a surprising dip for Monacy beneath Shiro. So Shiro actually claims the second best sniper spot for me of the year so far. Flamesy still holding on because of some really impressive stuff he did throughout the year, even with a pedestrian major performance by his standards. But you got to look back at what he did throughout the rest of this year. It's still been so wildly impressive. Senzu jumped up massively from 16th to 7th. Biggest mover. I'm going to even type +9. Flamesy moving up, even though he didn't do well at the Major, feels wrong. It really does feel wrong, actually. Spinks, on the other hand, +1. Frozen, +2. NiKo, -4. Exertion, -1. Torzsi, ooh, big drop, -4. Mezii, -1. This is kind of, yeah, it feels kind of weird with them. You're going to see more pluses than minuses because some of the people that are minuses are off the list entirely, by the way. XANTARES, -1. Apex, +4. 910, new. Zontix, +0. Heavy God, +0. That's surprising. Elige, +2. Woxic, +0. All right, that's the list. Yeah, Monacy down beneath Shiro. due to just one bad day, really. And Shiro just kind of holding on. And also, when you really look back at it, the Kato and Lisbon for Shiro were pretty impressive. Flamesy, on the other hand, yeah, didn't do great at the major, but everybody else just kind of fell off, including NiKo, really. Just NiKo, really. It was just him fighting NiKo, and then the people that were surrounding him didn't do well enough to overtake him. And Senzu, huge jump up, just a massive jump up. Didn't have the best Katowice, decent Lisbon, but what a crazy major. I almost want to put him above Flamesy for how well Senzu played at the major, but I think the body of work for Flamesy is just way too strong in comparison to Senzu, who sometimes showed to be inconsistent at other points in the year. Now, Frozen, again, a bastion of consistency for FaZe Clan, again, showed a really strong face here at the major. NiKo, massive crumble for him in the most important series for him of the year. And so he gets a bit of a drop here. Still a top 10 player in the world, but a little bit surprising to see him on the wrong side of that top 10. Exertion down a little bit. I mean, he's still a solid entry force for Maus on a team that really relies on him to be kind of the engine of that team. Torzsi, I mean, the margins between him and everybody that he was above were so slim that him moving down feels kind of bad. And never forget that he gave that insanely touching interview. I mean, it was heartbreaking, really, how emotional he felt after knowing he let his team down. Then we got Mezii at -1, who really didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just that Senzu overtook him. Like, the only people that overtook Mezii, it's just Senzu, and then all the people that were above him were far enough ahead of him that he really didn't have a place to go to. And the only thing is, like, the gap between Mezii and XANTARES and everybody beneath him almost widened. That's kind of all that happened. Apex, great grand finals again, continuing to tie that team together, which is defining the era that we are in right now. 9-10, such a good major for him that it lifted him above, and he was kind of on the cusp. I think I had him in the running for some of the players that I could have put on the initial list. Like, this was the initial list, but didn't quite make it. But that major was just stellar for him. I want to pull up the number actually right now. So for the major, let's just put flat numbers at the major. 1.1 is 1. Really great stuff. Bad versus FaZe, poor versus Vitality, but yeah, this is good enough. And yeah, I know the level of competition that 9-10 played against was not exceedingly high in the games that he did well against. Liquid, Linvision, G2, FaZe, Pain. But being number 1 or number 2 best player in the quarterfinals and semifinals of a major, regardless of your opponent, is always going to push you up a bit. He might fall off if he doesn't get opportunities like that, but he rose up when the circumstances called on him to do so. XANTARES just holding on, still a stable force for Spirit. I don't think that between him and Magic's being cut, I think that the decision becomes pretty obvious when you see really how well XANTARES has played for the year thus far. Not that I think Magic's necessarily needed to get cut, but it is what it is. Now, Heavy God, again, just stable performances on a G2 team that's been floundering for what is expected of them. Elige actually moved up from out of the top 20 on my 21 to being 19th. And we'll never forget an Elige clutch. What did he do at it exactly again? For FaZe Clan, Elige 1.09. You know, tied with, in rating, the people he was surrounded by were people like Spinks, people like Frozen, people like Exertion, people like 9-10. You know, Mezii did pretty well, but still, like, no real reason for him to move up too much higher. He really only passed Woxic here. Like, that's the only name he actually beat. And then Woxic, rounding out the list, number 20, not the best event for him, but it is truly impossible for me to ignore the body of work that Woxic has shown this year. Yes, his major was poor in performance, but if you look at LAN 2025, like, this has just been such a consistent force for him. A lot of green here. Okay, guys, that's it. That's the list. I'm posting it. It's live. Bada bing, bada boom. Frozen above NiKo. Frozen above NiKo. Shiro above m0NESY. Senzu with the huge jump up. Spinks is the best player for Maus at this point. And every single player, all 5 members of Vitality, make it on the top 20 list. All right.